Welcome to the Coaches Cafe, brought to you by the Priority Academy. Hi folks, how are you doing? And welcome to the Coaches Cafe. It is my absolute pleasure to have you here, whether you are watching us on YouTube or if you're listening to us on the podcast. Welcome and thank you for joining us. You have my absolute gratitude. Today, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to a wonderful young lady by the name of Mrs. Leigh Fish, who is going to talk to you about herself, her career, her story, and also offer you some helpful hints and tips to help yourself as well. So Leigh, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me here, Graham.
It's wonderful to meet you. We've not met before. We've had a quick chat before we started this, but it's wonderful to meet you. So, Leigh, tell me a bit about your story and how you got to the area of helping people, whether it be as a coach or a practitioner, whatever you call yourself. We can talk about that a bit later. But tell me a bit about your story to start with.
Sure. I didn't realize, in my young adulthood that's really what I wanted to be doing. I've generally owned my own businesses as such in different fields. And I am currently a Dutch citizen, but we actually moved from South Africa to the Netherlands about 9 years ago, and in the interim became Dutch. And I'm sure, as you can probably guess, moving halfway across the world or across the world, it changes your life. So I think for the first time I can say, being sort of, I don't know if middle 30s is called middle age, but middle of your life, I really started realizing that I was very conscious about the things that were going on in my life. Up till then, I was sort of on zombie mode, on autopilot. And so that's when I started realizing, sorry if you hear the clapping, it's a horse walking outside past my house. So I started consciously realizing, there's something that's maybe affecting me. What is this, So these kinds of things, whether it be emotions or whether it be thoughts, it wasn't really on my radar. It was all sort of quite intuitive beforehand.
Sure.
And I think, as you well know, and everyone will probably resonate, being isolated with Corona over the last 18 months or so, things come up because you're more isolated, more so than it would if you're being distracted by your day-to-day normal life, because you're in and out and in and out, right?
Absolutely.
So having moved halfway across the world, having a massive network back home, and all of a sudden being isolated, it was me, my husband, and my then 17-month-old son. So I was also on top of that a new mom. And so getting to learn everything from scratch and basically starting from nothing pushed me into a place and getting to know parts of myself that I didn't actually have to before, right?
Yeah.
But then I also realized through that time, making new connections and friends in a foreign country, which had its challenges, it seemed that people still respond to me in the same way. I tend to have a gravitational pull where people come to me and they like to discuss certain things. And they like to use things to bounce off of me, ideas, or, whether it's personal, private, or business. And someone actually said to me, I think you'd be in a great role, in coaching people in stuff. I don't know what, but, you really seem like that's what you'd do good at. And so I spent some time thinking about that. And that's also where you came onto my journey as well. So I started getting those formal educations in place so that, if anyone was worried about my authenticity, they had some paper to look at. But at the end of the day, I think I've built up a nice, let's say, life experience so that I can work with people that are looking to work with me.
Absolutely.
And so that's really how I came to what I want to call now my calling.
Fantastic. Well, first of all, thank you very much for sharing your story. If mid-30s is middle age, then I must be getting old because I'm late 40s. So, so I really hope the mid-30s isn't middle age. That's all I can say, because I'm in a whole heap of trouble if that's the case.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
So run me through some of the emotions and the thoughts and feelings that you were feeling before you started to transition into becoming a coach. What sort of things were going on within you that you were considering? You were thinking that's not quite right.
Well, I don't think it's more so about what's quite right. I think when I was a young adult back home in South Africa, I definitely tapped into, let's call it, an inner growth, and it was more sparked by spirituality and how the synchronicities of life happen. And that part of, I realized that kind of subject intrigued me. It really sparked like a magic in me to be interested in, how do I consciously get more of this, right?
Yeah.
And so, but that went sort of onto autopilot, and life was good because it was just intuitively happening to me. Everything was just manifesting from everywhere. And so then when I moved halfway across the world and I realized, okay, I'm not feeling great. Maybe that is, someone's like, oh, maybe you're depressed. I'm like, yeah, that's not who I am. Depression's not my thing. But when someone reads the symptoms, then it makes your monkey brain think, well, maybe I'm depressed. And so because I was on a spiritual awakening and journey, let's say, my spirit was not happy with that idea, because it was going, we don't want to put you in a box, you're now doing the whole human thing. And so that's when coaching appealed to me, because I realized, okay, in order to help others, if I just come across as some spiritual approach, everyone might think it's a religious thing or belief thing, and that's not my goal, right?
Sure.
So I do teach from a spiritual perspective, and that's why I will attract the clients that I look to attract. But I've used the coaching modalities really so that I can put it into, let's call it English, right? Into human English, so that people can have a more practical and logic way of bettering themselves and guiding themselves, right? So mine was kind of the reverse. I used my magic of what was happening to figure out that when I wasn't feeling great, because I didn't really want to put myself into buckets, right? I don't feel that does anything for someone. It might give you a moment of relief to go, oh, I've diagnosed myself, but it doesn't bring you a solve, right? A solution. It doesn't move you. And a lot of the time it actually gets you stuck within that bucket. Absolutely. And you'll spend years in that bucket. So for me, it was more about looking at all the light side of things and going, how do I put myself into the light spaces versus in a dark space? And how can I do that for other people, help other people do that, right?
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. And you're absolutely right. Once you're in that bucket, you tend to find it's a very deep bucket, don't you? And it's very hard to get out of.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So who do you now help when in your position as a coach, as a spiritual coach? Who do you help? What type of people and what conditions, what type of things do you help people with?
So I help coaches, small business owners, professionals. I've got some clients who are also professional, looking to transition into their own businesses. So that is the group of people I help. And really what I do is I help them manifest their goals by way of developing a unique, what I like to call a self-coaching method or self-coaching framework, so that I can help them feel empowered so that they can manage their lives as such. And I focus really on bringing the magic of inner growth, and that's where the spirituality comes in, helping them feel in alignment, helping them to understand what is their definition of manifesting. A lot of the time, if someone says, oh, I want to manifest $1 million, it's not just going to come because you say it. So it's about how to get to the nitty-gritty of how to make that happen, but then to really backtrack and go, what to debunk, what is real and what's not real. Because a lot of people might say, yo, well, I'm realistic, which really doesn't get you anywhere. Because you do have to dream a little. I'm sure you've built up your community, and you can't do that without a dream, right? So it's about having that balance and really just teaching people the basics. It's almost like I'm taking adults back to school and trying to retrain their conditioning. Some people might say unprogram or deprogram, but for me, I just like to put it in nice, easy language so that it sounds and feels good. So really just trying to uncondition the way of thinking and then recondition new habits, new beliefs that they want to change so that they can grow in certain aspects. So really working on a self-coaching blueprint, because I like to very quickly in a lot of workshops I do debunk the fact that you need that, and you need that, and you need that, and all these tools you need to collect before you can be a better person or get in life what you deserve, right? To step away from being sold to and learn how to trust your own instinct again and intuition.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, isn't it? They
Yes.
think they need more knowledge, they think they need more tools, they think they need more money or more time. We often think we need more resources when
Yes.
actually all we need to tap into is our own resourcefulness.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I have clients, if I say off the bat, so what is your daily ritual or weekly ritual, right, to stay in alignment? Well, I do yoga once a day, and then I meditate, and then I journal, and they can wrap off their lovely schedule, which there's nothing wrong with it. But it's kind of like we then inadvertently put ourselves on a guilt trip if we don't journal today, right? And then we feel guilty if we don't go to the gym. We feel guilty if we eat the wrong food and we're on a stringent diet or something. So there's so many nuances to living in this life. And for me, it's just about how to accept what is and work with what is, knowing that you can get what it is you desire, right? But really more so building out your own personal framework so that you can sift through and manage that negative and positive and the nuances that come at you so that you can end up making the right decisions and getting what you want out of everything that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what the point you make about, if you miss a journaling for a day,
Yes.
we tend to attach this guilt to these things, that we have to do these things and we have to do them at this time and in this order and all of that sort of stuff. And if we do happen to miss stuff, because let's be honest, life happens at some point.
Yes.
If we do miss that, we play it through our minds. Oh God, when am I going to catch up? When am I going to? And that just adds to the stress of life. So
Yes.
I really appreciate your point on that about doing it when you can. But if you do happen to miss it for one day, it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world, is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you could give people maybe 2 or 3 top tips about what you would teach people, whether it be about manifesting your life or about anything you talk about, what would your top 2 or 3 tips be so that people who are watching or listening really get some benefit from this session?
I think my number one is to become self-aware and conscious. And that means many different things to different people. For me, what it means is the ability to just stand still and look at where you are in your life at this point. And obviously, what's nice about having support is sometimes it's difficult to identify what is going on with you. So having support or bouncing it off someone, even if it's just a friend, to get some outside perspective so that you can just sort of gauge where are you at, right? If you're not feeling great about yourself, why? And if those questions come up, then it's about asking the next right set of questions, But so to just be conscious and aware of where you are. The second tip, because that will really just start a snowball to other things, right? The second tip I would give is the magic to life is, for me, I'm that half glass full kind of girl. I don't look at the half glass that's empty. It's always full for me. And so everyone, even my husband, everyone that goes, well, I'm a realist, I'm realistic. I don't disregard that that's maybe what you think you are or who you think you are, but I definitely want to encourage people to bring a bit of magic back into their life, to dream a little bit more, to daydream, because we really taught. I can see with my son now, he's 10 years old. He's going to school in a system that's also new for me, but I can see how rigid the system is that humans have come up with. And I feel like as soon as you include your spirit, there's a lot of playfulness in life that we cut out because we're so badly conditioned about the world around us, right?
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you to bring more magic into your life. And I think the last point would be is really not just believe that you have all the tools within yourself to be able to progress, to be able to change, to be able to get better, to be able to improve on where you are right now, inwardly. You don't need to have tools that people tell you, you need this to manifest, you need this to get better, you need that. It's true that tools can help you, but do you need it? The answer should be no, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really important point. We're all born as part of, I class it as the universe, other people class it as something else, but we're all born as part of the universe. We are the universe is part of us, so we have everything we already need inside of us. Yes,
Yes.
we might need some guidance now and again because we're not taught this stuff, as you say. Through school we're certainly not taught this stuff, but absolutely we have everything we need inside of us.
Yes.
And I think your point about the glass half empty or the glass half full, I used to be very much similar to you. My glass is always fairly full, but I
Yeah.
read something the other day that was that really changed my perspective on that, and it might change yours as well. Somebody wrote something along the lines of, rather than being either glass half empty or glass half full, be the person who is consistently refilling the glass. And
Absolutely.
that just went wow for me. That opens up something completely different. Not just filling your own glass, but I think you fill your own glass by helping to fill other people's. How does that sound?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a part of it, right? So if someone says, well, what kind of person are you? And that's my statement, glass half full kind of person. But when we start diving deeper, it's how do I manage to always be a half glass full kind of person? It's because I know how to keep refilling that cup, right? So it goes down layers and layers and layers, and we can rather jump into those conversations and have many, many yummy times together discussing those layers that keeps that half glass full filled up all the time, versus, oh, I'm in healing mode, or I'm stuck in imposter syndrome and I remain in that bucket all the time because that's the content I want to run through all the time. So you get stuck because you want to discuss it all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
So you were talking about, obviously, the tools we use each day, whether it be journaling or meditation or anything like that. What's the one thing that you use on a daily basis that you love using, that yes, you could miss a day, but you absolutely couldn't do without? What's the one thing that really hits the spot for you?
This is quite funny because I hate reading. I'm not, I want to say not well educated, but I like to think I am. But I'm not that person that went to university, etc. I did high school
Yeah,
and such.
yeah, me
Um,
either.
yeah, but I would be that kid where I'm holding a book up. My mom thinks I'm studying, but I'm sleeping behind the book. And I'm more like, oh, let's watch movies, let's watch TV, like a typical kid. So my spirit knew I just wanted to play. I didn't want to do all the big people stuff. And it's so weird because as you know, what I like to call late in life, for you is not late. I, I've learned how to trigger the part of me that hates reading. So the first thing I did was I bought a Kindle so I could fake myself into reading because I love technology. And then I thought, ooh, there is something to this buying hard copy books and the smell of it and the feel of it, and not letting it fall on your face in bed because it's not as heavy as a Kindle. So I started buying hard copy books, and I have a lot of spiritual books. I have a lot of coaching books, and those books really trigger for me a lot of the time. When I'm reading those books, I can feel myself really connecting to my intuition, because there's so many people have different theories and different perspectives, but really on the same thing. So when we have conversations about the soul and how we're so connected or disconnected, I love how everyone just has their own version. But in my higher self, I'm having conversations with myself and I'm going, whoa, it's amazing how people are waking up to the world and what it should be, right? So I use books as my tool, and it's really a new passion because I don't really love reading, but I'll find myself going through a book quickly if I love that person's brain and what they're putting out on the paper.
Absolutely.
And I think the second quick one, I use my son. He's a young spirit, so I often ask him big people questions, and I'm very intrigued by his answers because as adults, we forget the innocence of a free spirit. And so I test myself and I ask him big people questions. We end up talking about consciousness and spirits and death and this and this and that. And he has answers and versions. And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. So I sometimes have conversations with him and I use that as a tool.
Oh, that's just wonderful. It's before some of the preconditioning us adults get into us big people into,
Exactly.
it's that's a wonderful thing to do. Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome, and that must spark so much in you, consciously, unconsciously, your higher self. Everything
yes,
must really spark with that. What a wonderful thing
yes.
to do.
Thank you.
So obviously you're a coach. I appreciate that, but you also mentioned workshops. What sort of things do you offer as a coach and workshops? What sort of things do you offer?
Well, I have a membership that people come into that I work with regularly. And they get group calls from me, they get individual calls, they get whatever's happening with Leigh, they get from me. So I basically partner up with them and I become their go to girl on life. Um, by the time they get to that phase, they've been to a few of my workshops. And my workshops, for example, I've got one coming up now, end of June. Um, that I am referring to Manifesting Mayhem, right? That's the title of the workshop, but it all revolves around what I like to call the expand method, and that's more about expanding from within. Excuse me. And that really revolves around, as I said before, developing your own unique framework so that you can learn how to connect again with your intuition and feel in alignment, so that when you're not feeling in alignment, you can use that framework to get through specific tasks that are in front of you, so that you can use your intuition to decide how do you want to move forward on those issues, right? And then, of course, if you get coached with me, then you have that support system of bouncing it off of me to confirm everything you're doing.
Wonderful. And I
Yeah.
love how you use intuition as part of your, not just your life, but your coaching as well. I think I included intuition in, if I remember right, in my counseling course. It's such an important part of what we do as coaches, as practitioners, as complementary therapists. It's such an important part to be able to connect and use our intuition with that person or people who are sat in front of us. So I absolutely love that you use that.
Cool. Yes, me too. I also love it. I can't do it any other way.
Absolutely. So if people want to get in touch with you, if they're interested in what you do and they'd like to connect with you, how can they get in touch? Do you have a website they could visit?
I have a website, but I prefer it if people just find me on usual social media.
Okay.
So they can find me under Leigh Fish on Instagram, under Leigh Fish in Facebook. I have a Facebook group where I run my workshops from. So
Hmm.
that's called the Expand Method. They can find me there. But usually, if someone private messages me through my accounts, I can always redirect them.
Fantastic. And do you have anything you can offer them to come and join? Are your workshops free? Are they paid? How does
Yes,
that
my
work?
workshops are for free. And
Wonderful.
usually typically I'll do like a 5-day workshop or a 7-day workshop. And it's not a full day, so people don't have to take leave for it. It's generally an hour a day, but I'll do it over a period. And it's
Sure.
all sort of sewn together on one topic. So it leads on from each other every day.
Wonderful. So if people connect with you on social media, you can guide them to your group and they can come and visit your free workshops. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yes.
Fantastic. So before we go, I just want you to give you the opportunity to just tell anybody who's listening or watching why they should come and visit your workshops, why they should work with you, and what you can do for them.
Sure. If you're looking for support, if you're looking for information, inspiration, if you feel like you're on a journey where you are recognizing that there are nuances to life and a little bit of magic in that, and you really want to pursue it, there is typically three kinds of people that I work with. And the first kind would be someone that is on the beginning of their journey. So you're really sparked and you feel like there's an awakening. I'm happy to help you open that awakening or deepen it or heighten it, however you perceive it. And then typically a person that's in the middle of all of that, you are managing to manifest what you want in your life, but you're really feeling like it's inconsistent, right? You have a lot of dips and ups and downs. So if you're feeling like you don't really have so much control over it, in manifesting what's going on around you, I'll work with you too, and you're welcome to come join. And then if you feel like you're more advanced into your enlightenment or into your journey, you really know who you are, but you really want to open the tap, right? And you're looking for more, then I'm happy to, those are probably my most favorite kind of people to work with, because things are really starting to stream in and they're really like, seeing is believing, like it really happens. That excitement of seeing people is really a favorite for me. So yeah, those are typically the kind of people that come and enjoy my free workshops, get what you need out of it, and connect with me there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So if anybody's watching or listening, connect with Leigh, and Leigh is spelled Leigh. Is that correct?
Correct. The British way, which are not a lot of the world will know.
Yeah, so Leigh, and Fish is as it sounds, Fish.
Yes.
Yeah. So connect with Leigh on social media. Send her a private message, get into her group, watch some of her workshops, go through some of her free workshops, and you never know, she might be the person to help you take your life to the next level and open up your spirituality or whatever you really need. So Leigh, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And is there one last message you have for people out there just before we close?
I think my last message would be just to be as present as you can. There's no future, there's no past, there is only now. So whatever it is you're doing, stop doing what you're doing and just be present, even if it's for 5 seconds or 5 minutes, and then carry on with your day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leigh. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You have my absolute gratitude. And I'm sure, or hopefully, you'll get some new people come and contact you once they've watched or listened to this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Graham. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Guys, thank you very much. And I will see you, or you'll hear me on the next version of the podcast. For now, though, from the Coaches Cafe, thanks very much and goodbye. Thanks for tuning in to the Coaches Cafe. Why not check out the Priority Academy to see what courses we've got on offer for you?